The wheels of my car made gravel fly behind me as I pulled up my driveway. I stepped out of my car and into the humid August night. As I pulled out my keys, I paused. Did I get the mail? A deep sigh escaped my chest as I turned around. I decided that I would just walk down the drive. I hadn't walked too much since I had moved out into the country. Everything was different there from the city. I missed the bustling streets, crammed with colorful people. Thoughts of my faraway home were suddenly interrupted by a rustle in a nearby bush. A rabbit quickly scurried from one hiding place into another. I hadn't noticed it before, but that night was quiet. The chirps of the crickets and the breeze had settled down. The silence was strange to me. With no interruption of familiar sirens and horns, silence almost had its own sound. The dark and quiet lit my imagination and spread like wildfire. The trees around me swayed in the moonlight, sending sinister shadows to writhe upon the ground. I quickened my pace, chastising myself for being such a wimp. This wasn't the city. There were no thugs, no murderers, rapists, or anything wandering the night this far out. Then why did I feel so on edge? What was this incessant, nagging feeling that something was very wrong? The hair on the back of my neck prickled up as I recognized the sensation. I was being watched. Although it wasn't like I was being watched by some animal in the forest. No. The eyes that I felt crawling on my back definitely belonged not to a something, but to a someone. I picked up my pace more. The mailbox, my goal, was in sight. I reached it, and I sighed heavily with relief. I opened the mailbox and there was nothing. It was Sunday. How could I have forgotten? I laughed to myself, feeling silly for being so afraid of nothing. I turned back to my house in time to see a light go out in the second-story window. The smile disappeared from my face and I froze. That shouldn't have happened. I don't live with anyone, so there was no one there that I knew of to turn off the light. Now, I know what you're thinking. The light bulb could have burned out or something, but the thing is, I hadn't been in that room all day. I was not the one to turn the light on, and I was not the one to turn it off. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. Dialing 911, I breathed deeply in and out, trying to calm myself. A squad car with 2 officers showed up a few minutes later and did a sweep of my house. When it was clear, they let me come in. They led me into the second-story room, telling me to be prepared for the worst. The first thing I noticed was the blood. It was everywhere. It was smeared all over the walls and the floor with messy handprints. The corpse of my eviscerated dog laid in the corner. The only way I could tell it was my dog was by the pink collar with the name Lucy embroidered on it. That room was the only one that had been touched, even though the door going into the room was unlocked and opened. The nearby broken window seemed to be the point of entry and exit. The police never found any leads about who could have broken into my house and killed my dog. I immediately moved into one of my friend's house. Even though I live far away from my old house and the surrounding woods, I still lay awake at night wondering what would have happened if I didn't check the mail.